Today I'm taking a look at the Viltrox 56mm f1.2 Pro. Viltrox has really been on a roll lately, putting out new lenses at a fast pace. One of the latest is this APS-C 56mm f1.2 Pro, which gives you a full-frame equivalent of 85mm, a classic and super popular focal length for portraits. As the name suggests, it's part of their Pro series, following the 27mm f1.2 and 75mm f1.2 Pro. Both of those turned out to be excellent on APS-C cameras, so I'm excited to see how this new one performs. I tested the X-mount version of this lens on a Fujifilm X-S10. If you'd like to read a text-based version of this review, you can find it on our blog. The sample images I'm showing here are also available in high resolution, and I'll leave links to both the blog post and the images in the description below. Viltrox kindly provided this lens for test and review purposes. Here are the specifications of this lens. You can pause the video to take a closer look or check out our blog post for a more detailed overview. Handling and build quality. The first thing you'll notice when you pick up this lens is that it's large and heavy for an APS-C lens, but once you get past that, it really feels like a well-built, high-quality piece of gear. The body is all metal and glass with smooth finish, and the mount is also metal with a nice chunky rubber gasket for sealing. You'll also find a USB-C port on the mount for easy firmware updates. One unusual thing about this lens is that it seems to have a loose small rubber ball or something similar inside the barrel. When you flip the lens over, you can actually feel and hear something moving around. Some play in the glass elements is normal in modern lenses, but on this one it's noticeably more pronounced, almost to the point where it feels a bit concerning. On the X-mount version I'm testing, you get a large metallic focusing ring up front, and behind it an aperture ring that clicks in third-stop increments. It doesn't have a clickless option, but there is an A setting that lets the camera control the aperture automatically. The Sony E-mount version adds a few extras. You get a switch to make the aperture ring rotate clicklessly, an AF/MF switch, and a customizable focus hold button. As for the Nikon Z version, there is no info yet since it hasn't been released, but judging from the previous Pro lenses, it should get the same controls as the E version. Autofocus is handled by Viltrox's Hyper CVM AF motor, which until now was only found in their Lab series lenses. It's silent, accurate, and really quick. Honestly, one of the more impressive AF performances I've seen from any Viltrox so far. The lens doesn't have image stabilization, but in the box you do get the usual front and rear caps along with a pretty substantial plastic lens hood. Optical features. Let's start with sharpness. To assess it, we examine three areas: sharpness near the infinity mark, the portrait distance, and in close-up shots. For the infinity sharpness test, we look at three areas of the image: center, mid-frame, and corner. Sharpness is excellent right from f1.2 in the center, and very good in the mid-frame and corners, though the corners do look a bit darker because of vignetting. Stopping down improves things. By f2, the center is at peak sharpness. At f4, the mid-frame catches up, and by f8, even the corners look excellent. Sharpness at portrait distance. Let's look at the points of interest for portraits at portrait distance: the center, the inner circle, and the outer circle. Sharpness is excellent at all measured points, even wide open at f1.2. Though contrast is only good at f1.2. Stopping down just a third of a stop to f1.4 makes both sharpness and contrast excellent everywhere. Close-up sharpness. At f1.2, sharpness is good, but not outstanding, and contrast feels a bit low. Stopping down to f1.4 doesn't change much, but from f2 onward, close-up shots become really sharp with strong contrast. Lens distortion. There's a very small amount of pincushion distortion, but for portraits it's basically negligible and can be ignored. If you do want to correct it, a simple -4 adjustment in Lightroom or Photoshop takes care of it. Vignetting. Vignetting at f1.2 is noticeable in some scenes, but it's on par with, or even better than, other lenses with similar specifications. Stop down to f2 and it's almost gone. Beyond that, it's basically invisible in real-world use. Focus shift and aberrations. The lens doesn't suffer from focus shift, though there is slight bit of longitudinal chromatic aberration. It's not severe, most of it disappears by f2.8, and by f4 it's gone completely. In real-world shooting, it's not something you'll really notice. Lateral chromatic aberration is extremely well controlled. You won't see any even in demanding situations. Here are some 100% crops from the corners so you can see for yourself. Flare resistance. I have to admit, I was a bit surprised when testing this category. Even some of the cheaper, more basic Air series lenses from Viltrox have performed better here. The large front element might be part of the reason. What's puzzling is that only my copy seems to show this kind of mediocre performance, while other reviewers consistently praise it. Maybe my sample has an unusually poor coating, but either way, the results were disappointing. Coma. There is almost no visible coma, just a tiny trace in the corners at f1.2, which is negligible. Here are some 100% crop examples from the corners at f1.2 and f1.4, so you can see for yourself. Sun stars. The Viltrox 56mm f1.2 Pro seems to have very well aligned aperture blades. Even with its unusual 11-blade design, it produces attractive, well-defined 22-ray sun stars. They start showing up around f5.6 and become really crisp from f8 onward. Focus breathing. The lens shows small amount of focus breathing. It's minor, but you can notice it if you're looking for it. Bokeh. I'm guessing most people checking out this lens want to see the bokeh. After all, that's what can make or break a portrait lens. Let's start by taking a look at the bokeh highlights. They look really nice. No onion rings, no harsh double lines, and no noticeable color fringing. Optical vignetting isn't too strong at the edges or corners either, and thanks to the 11 rounded aperture blades, the bokeh balls stay fairly round, even when you stop down a couple of stops, which is great. Now let's take a closer look at the background blur at different distances. Up close, the bokeh is very creamy and soft, though most decent lenses can manage that. This is the key scenario and probably where this lens will be used most. People buy this lens for sharp images and beautiful background blur in this range, so performance here is crucial. The good news, at medium distances the bokeh stays smooth, almost as creamy as up close. Really well done. At long distances, the background doesn't completely dissolve into a dreamy blur, but it still looks pleasant. Even at very long distances, the lens manages good subject separation with a soft background. Overall, while it doesn't quite match the creamy bokeh of a full-frame 85mm f1.2 or its bigger sibling, the 75mm f1.2 Pro for APS-C, this lens still stands out in its category. Conclusion and sample images. First, things that I like. Sharpness everywhere and at all distances. Chromatic aberration control, vignetting, lens distortion, bokeh, autofocus speed and accuracy, build quality. Average, focus breathing. Things that I don't like, flare resistance. This is a fantastic lens, as long as you avoid shooting directly into the sun. Put that one flaw aside and you'll get a lens with excellent build quality and outstanding optical performance. Sharpness at all distances, bokeh, chromatic aberration control, vignetting, sun stars and chroma handling are all top-notch. Wide open vignetting is only average, but that's typically how you'd use the lens for portraits. And in that case, the slight vignetting can actually help separate your subject from the background. If you're looking for a sharp portrait lens with pleasing bokeh and strong subject separation, this is one you shouldn't overlook. It's not among the cheapest options, but it's still far more affordable than Fujifilm's own 56mm f1.2. As far as I'm aware, Nikon, Canon and Sony don't have an equivalent lens, but if you know of one, feel free to mention it in the comments. So if you're using one of those systems, this is one of your only options. As mentioned earlier, this review is also available in written format on our blog, where you'll find detailed test charts on sharpness and other characteristics. I've also listed a few alternatives at the end of the article for those interested. Most of the sample images are available in high resolution on a separate site, and you'll find links to both the blog post and sample images in the description below. If you are thinking about buying this lens, you can support our work by using the links in the description. It won't cost you anything extra or affect the price, but it helps us a little. You can also donate to support the channel. A huge thanks for watching. Your comments are always welcome. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Until the next video, have a fantastic time, everyone.